Yep,
Yeah,
now we can
yep.
see.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm working on Codeless API. The initial aim of it was some like a website where you could drag and drop your different data sources and you can do manipulations on it, and you could come out with some JSON output or some kind of response. And that was my initial idea. But then when I started building it, I realized that there's already many tools out there which do what I was hoping to do much better. And for me to reach feature parity with them would take quite a while. So I switched it into something where you could drag and drop your different data sources, do some operations on it, and create it as an API. So if you have a Google Sheets, a CSV, Postgres, I think now I support Airtable as well, and JSON, you can use that and then create an API from it. So that is how it currently works. Just recently, I added support for ChatGPT. So you can pass in your data into ChatGPT, and for each row, you can get it to execute some ChatGPT code that you have. I'm going to be enhancing it so that you can actually just pass in your whole data source in one chunk and pass it to ChatGPT, and it can come up with some kind of summary or analyze it, whatever you've decided. I've also started to add some visualizations. So I know I've seen maybe some similar sites offering things such as you can embed the results in a table or embed the results as a chart. So that's something I'm currently working on. So just recently added the bar chart functionality, and I'm going to be adding pie chart and tables and stuff like that. So this is the current website and what it looks like. I've started working on a redesign for this. I think I posted it on Twitter yesterday. Hopefully I should have that done soon. But yeah, I can show you, I guess, some examples of how it works.
Please do.
Just trying to see if it's taking a while to load. But yeah, the aim of this, like I'm still currently unsure what the next steps would be. So I've been adding more and more different data sources. I'm going to start adding more operations. So right now you can do stuff like filter. You can order it. You can map the output. So if the output has a name field, you can map it to something else like first name or last name. But yeah, so right now I'm still currently unsure. So I'm going to start adding stuff like group by, some account, essentially some of the stuff that you can do in SQL, but adding that as operations that you can do in Codeless API. But I was trying to think of the broader picture. So the broader picture, I guess someone would be using this to be part of their website. So if they have like a Google Sheet, they don't want to have their own database. So I think the next step would also be is providing the functionality to use your Google Sheet or Airtable or whatever, and building a form on top of it. So I think that's the next step that I'm going to be going in. Again, I think the form I'll start off really simple, see if there's interest in it, and if there is, then I can build that out. Okay, so it's loaded now. So if I run this, hopefully there should be some data that comes back.
And you're showing us what does this API do?
Okay, so yeah, so you connect everything to start, and then you connect it all the way to the end. And then what we'll do is it'll just run everything in the order that you've defined it. So for this CSV read, so I clicked on this and I dragged it onto the screen. And then you can configure it. So I'll move this one, but you can configure this one. Oh, sorry, this API just ran. This is the data that was read from here. So if I configure this, it'll show you that I'm retrieving application and users. And these are the different applications that I could have. It's just dummy data, and these are the users. And then if you see in the bar chart, I'm passing in application as the X labels, X-axis labels, and the data, the Y-axis, are the actual user information.
Wow.
So this is one API example of how you could use this to render a chart. So to actually get the API, if you go into your start, you can copy this and you can run it in your browser. what this would actually do is it would return this. And since this is dynamic, this is like HTML or JavaScript, it's not an image. It would actually return some HTML. So for right now, if someone was to embed this, they'd have to embed it within an iframe. So I'm working on making this come out as an image, so that some people, if someone could just put it into their like image tag. That's something I'm working on. So those are the next steps that I have for bar chart. For like the read here, Google Sheets, CSV and stuff, I need to add. I think there is the PSV, which is like pipe separated values, is similar to CSV, and then also Excel. Recently, someone was asking if it supports MySQL and MongoDB. So that's something I'm going to be looking into. And then everything I have in read, I need to update create to support it. So right now I don't have create for Airtable, but I'll just add this in. Essentially, I just want to have all the like the CRUD operations here. So create, read, update, delete. And then once I have that, it'll be an easy transition to use a data source and convert that directly into a form. I think that would be quite. And yeah, in the operations, again, like I want to enhance this to add group bys, sums, counts. I also want to add if-else statements or branching. And that way, yeah, if your data source, you want to have multiple different paths, you could do that. And then into advanced operations, currently I also only have ChatGPT. So I've made this into a premium requirement, or only added this to the premium like price plans. And the reason is, so what I've done here is I've actually connected to my own ChatGPT. And then whenever you pass your data, it'll go through mine. And because ChatGPT charges you based on tokens that you've used, this will actually cost me. But yeah, I'm going to add another ChatGPT option where you can just plug in your own ChatGPT credentials. And then, yeah, that'll be free since that will be charging me. And for visualizations right now, I'm using a bar chart. But yeah, I think this is what I have so far. I think some of the inspiration that I've gotten for this and the reason I pivoted more into APIs is I've seen some websites where you can plug your Google Sheets and create an API from it. So I thought, yeah, I mean, this can not only plug in your Google Sheets, but you can plug in everything else. But I think the reason maybe this isn't as attractive as the other websites is I think there's a couple of extra steps. So you would actually have to come here, you would have to click read and drag it. Whereas in some of the other websites I've seen, you can just paste your link and it'll automatically create, read, create, update, and delete APIs. So I have thought about perhaps changing it here. So instead of APIs, I have complex APIs where you're essentially using the drag and drop builder, and then some simple APIs where you can just drop in like a CSV or a Google Sheet link, and it'll automatically generate all the different APIs for you. That could be an option. I also did add API monetization. So I was talking to someone on, so I posted this on Reddit, Indie Hackers on Twitter, and on Reddit, someone reached out to me saying they're interested in having an option where they could monetize their APIs. So I've added this. They still haven't started working on it. But essentially you can, if you go into your API monetization, you can select any of your APIs that you have, and then you'd be able to monetize it. It's like with this.
Wow, I love this.
Yeah, and then you can create a product. So I actually haven't focused that much on this aspect of it. I haven't even, I guess, publicized it that much or marketed it that much. But I think there might be some appetite for this because I've had a couple of people interested, although they've mentioned it, but they haven't really followed up. But this is something I'm working on. I've looked at Rapid API. So they offer a similar service in the sense that you have an API, you can monetize it. But on their platform, you don't build the API. You must already have an API, and then you can just kind of plug it in the Rapid API. So I think this will kind of do both, and hopefully help with that aspect of it. But if I do go down this route, I would also need to enhance the landing page to actually have an API store, so people can actually view other people's APIs. But as for right now, all you can do is, if you do want to monetize, you have to set up your store, and then I guess you'd have to let people know that your store exists. They have to go into your store and buy your API. So there's no way for anyone to like organically find your store. So I'd have to add that option. But I think what I've done is I've kind of started off and I've kind of built anything that someone's asked. I've kind of added stuff on top. I still really haven't found that product market fit. I don't really know exactly the path I'm going to go down. I think the path I'd like to go down is the no-code path. So I have this no-code API builder. On top of that, I could build forms. I have charts, and then I think that would be pretty easy. One thing I want to do after that is also build components on top of it. So if you have a Google Sheets, you have loads of components. Sorry, you have loads of data. You can build a component example for one of your rows, and then it would automatically populate a bunch of different components with the data in your, say, Google Sheets. And then I think it would be a natural step to go from there to building a whole site, like a landing page. Because I've seen a lot of, I guess, people online looking to build landing pages. So I think like a no-code builder, this would be an actual next step for it. But yeah, this is what I have so far. Yeah, thanks for like.
This is really awesome, Khalil. This is, I think personally, people can easily use this, especially the fact that you just drag and drop. There may be other drag and drop and other features out there on other sites, but I think you should continue along with it. If I was you, this is my suggestion. I would just integrate more data sources, not only like MongoDB or other types of SQL platforms, but also get into the new stuff, Astro, even maybe Redis for really fast caching operations. I think there's one called PlanetDB. There's a lot of new databases. There's even AI like databases, which is kind of interesting. Getting in the new stuff will definitely attract attention with the indie hackers because they're always trying to get on the new tech. And if you can just integrate that like that, I mean, people are just going to be excited for that stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, right. Like there's AI vector database that I've seen pop up. I think if I had that, I could definitely like eat in or like go into the hype. So you can just, yeah, it's really good. Like,
You could also
Definitely.
try adding more third-party application integrations also.
yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
So what about if you can go back to the screen where you're designing everything, right? I see it said like CSV file, right? So where is that actually hosted? For example, the file itself.
Yeah, sure. So someone would, I guess, drag and drop their CSV file here, and then I would upload it to S3. So whenever they query it, it's an S3.
Okay. Okay, so first they have to upload it. Have you thought, okay, so yeah, but then that's uploaded to your S3, right? S3 bucket.
Yeah.
Okay, so at some point, right, you can just say, just allow users to add their own S3 bucket, right? And then just go through the bucket and they can just select the files themselves, right? So that they don't have to wait for the upload process.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I could have like S3 as the source here somewhere.
Exactly. Can you show me some of the other sources that you have? Okay, Google Sheets. So you are for Google Sheets, it's the same thing, right? You just have to drag it and drop it. I mean, your own file. Okay. Oh, and for the database.
Yeah, so for Google Sheets, I don't actually I don't store any of the information. So I actually go to Google Sheets every time. The only thing I store is when you connect your Google Sheet account, I store like your refresh token, right, which is what Google Sheet provides as part of the OAuth verification process. And then whenever you query it, I will query your Google Sheet. And the way you would add a link or add a new Google Sheet is you just paste the link in all of everything.
Okay, and as for the database, right? You have the Postgres database, right? So yeah, there's the configure thing. Okay, so you have to probably type in some credentials or something.
Yeah, this is the same. So you'd have to, sorry, I should have moved this. You have to type in what your credentials are, and then I encrypt this and store this on my database. And then whenever you read it, decrypt it through your database.
Okay. Perfect.
Something I'm considering as well is letting people So instead of them having to have their own database, have another option where they can connect to a database that I'm hosting. And that way, yeah, they don't have to manage their service.
Yep, that makes sense.
And so once you've created one in a project example like this one, you can query the API anytime. Like it's always up and running.
Yeah. So I use Elastic Beanstalk just as like EC2 servers. So there's no like cold start on as it, like you do in AWS Lambda, right? So it'll just it'll return quickly.
So yeah, so you're not even using serverless, which is actually a great idea. Yeah, those cold starts will get you.
Yeah.
Very cool. You know what would be an interesting feature is being able to have a scheduler. So it's like, I want this specific API that I built on your platform to run, I don't know, every 5 minutes, minute, hour, however long, every night. And then it just outputs that data maybe, or forwards that response to another API, which you could define on here. In sense, kind of creating like a scheduled microservice for whatever it is you're trying to do. That would be something kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let me write it down.
Yeah, these are basically just like ETL jobs then at that point, right? So you can do it in the, what's it called, like CloudWatch, right? If you're on AWS.
Yeah.
So you have CloudWatch events, you schedule them, like you said, for once every day or whenever, right? And if you have like a couple of APIs, you just send them from one to another, and that's it. Yeah, and then you can just call them jobs or whatever, and show them on the left-hand side as well. Yeah, I think that would be a good way forward.
Also, is this a single node connection, or can you have multiple flexible workflows also?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like you could have multiple threads running together. Integrations.
Oh, as in you can connect this to this, and then you can have
yeah. So you have multiple connections also.
Yeah. And then you can also join
Good.
if you want. But yeah, thanks so much. So I think the thing that I'm actually struggling with right now though is getting users. So I've been posting on Twitter and Reddit. I think Indie Hackers hasn't really worked for me. I posted about twice. And I've been getting maybe 1 to like 3-4 users a week. And I think it's been okay, but they're not really active users. So I'm trying to find, I think once I have at least 1 active user, even if they're not paying, at least I can figure out what they're really using it for, and then go down into that route. But until then, I think what I've just been doing is I've just been building out features and then posting every now and again. Just kind of waiting. So I'm not sure if that's the right strategy. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions.
I think with a service like yours, you have to reach out.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to reach out, because this isn't something you're going to immediately like pick up. It's not like an AI image generator. It's like, oh, I feel like generating an image for fun or for work or whatever. This is like a service, and you have to reach out to companies or small companies or individuals and just say, hey, is this something you think you could use?
Do you have any advice on where I could find these companies?
Any startup, right? Startups are most likely to adopt this, something that's like new.
Yeah, I don't know where you would go or if there's like a good site. But honestly, people put their startups on their like Twitter page or their Twitter profile. So if you see like a startup, you have to do your own research, But yeah, just kind of like reach out to like a founder. Just cold open if you have to. Cold email, cold DM or something.
Yeah,
it's not fun as an engineer. Like that's like the last thing I want to do personally, but I don't have a marketing team, but so you got to just be your own advocate, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Very cool. Thanks for
Also-
sharing.
Thanks.
So if you want to get some users, even though some people don't like this approach, is to offer lifetime deals, right? And you've got a lot of Facebook groups, even though people think that there's not much activity there, but there is. Like, so on Facebook groups, you've got a lot of lifetime deals, groups that deal with these, right? Because they just want some good deals that are for the upcoming services. So you can just find these groups and join there, right? And just advertise what you have and tell them, look, I'm going to launch this soon, right? So I'm offering a lifetime deal for my app, and that's how you get your first couple of users, right? So you'll actually have some kind of initial investment in a way, plus you'll get some users that are going to validate your app, and they're going to tell you, you know, what to build next. So it's a win-win situation both for you and for the the initial group of users. So you can go that route as well.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I hadn't really thought about reaching out to Facebook groups.
Yeah, I'm there all the time, so people are really helpful, and yeah, they are really looking for new deals all the time.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Thing else, I
Alright.
guess it's all clearly easy to understand, I guess. Just visualization of API builder, which is actually cool. Right now, everybody is going to no code platforms, and one of these platforms coming up is actually really good.
Yeah, totally agree. But yeah, thank you, Khalil, for joining and also sharing this. I've always been excited ever since I saw this. I've just been like, yes, I kind of like really want this just to speed up certain processes, you know, like, so I've always tried to be very supportive, and I had to get you on here. So definitely keep it up, man. Keep it up.